Sawadee, it's feeper here with another video for you. With Update 2.0 bringing a ton of new content in the form of new monsters, craftable decos, and much more, I wanted to showcase two really fun status, sword, and shield sets that I have personally been enjoying quite a bit. Status is my preferred way to play sword and shield, and Rise gives us some new skills that make these two English is hard. These two statuses more exciting. Before we get into the video, I do stream live over at twitch.tv/feeper playing Monster Hunter Rise pretty much every day of the week. So if you want to have a good time chatting and hunting with me, then you can catch me over there. And if you liked the video, please drop a like and subscribe. It would really help me out. And with that, let's get into it. The two sets I want to talk about today are going to be focused around Teostra and Cumulonius' blessings respectively. So first off, we're going to talk about the Teostra Spada combined with Blast Attack 3 and, of course, the Blessing. With this skill, before eating for Dango Specialist, you will have 52 blasts on a Sword and Shield, and after eating, you'll be at 55, which you can then get even higher with a Hunting Horn player in your party playing Elemental Attack Up. Yes, I know the song is called Elemental Attack Up, but it applies for status as well. I have 3 versions of this build, and they do require some fairly decent charms in terms of slots, so hopefully you'll be able to recreate this build without too much difficulty or having to sink in too much time. The first 2 builds are focused around Handicraft 4 and 5 and being able to get to white and then prolonging how long that white is, while the third build stops at blue and gets a little bit more raw attack in there. The 2 builds with white, technically speaking, do more damage than the one with blue, but it's like 5 more effective raw, so just pick whichever you prefer most. Or if you want to do something completely different, then that's totally fine too. The beauty of Monster Hunter is the fact that builds allow for tons of personal customization, and I'm sure there's ways that you could take these builds and make them better for how you like to play the game. So for those of you who played Monster Hunter World, you'll remember that blast damage had a set fixed amount depending on what rank of the game you were in. There may have been a few exceptions to this, so if I'm wrong about that, please let me know. But overall, it was just a set number. In Rise, however, the weaker the monster is to blast as a status, the more damage the blast proc will actually do to them. This is something that you can actually check in your Hunter's Notes. This is a huge buff for the TO Sword and Shield, or just TO weapons in general, because of its Rampage skill that boosts blast damage even further by another 20%. So the weaker a monster is, the even more damage they're going to be taking. I did a hunt against a random Bear-Off the other day, and with a total of 13 blast procs throughout the hunt, I did about 2,000 damage just from blast alone, which is actually insane if you think about it. It was really fun. Alright, so here we are in the game, everybody's favorite spot in the Gathering Hub. I'm going to show you the build here. So as you can see, we have 198 raw, 10% affinity, and 52 blast already. Of course, I haven't eaten, so this would go up to 55 if I eat for Dango Specialist. Now, these are the switch skills that I'm using. The only one that really matters is the Drill Slash. I think with these builds, you should be using Drill Slash just because it's all about the status procs. And here are the skills. So we have Handicraft 4, Blast Attack 3, Protective Polish 3, Speed Sharpening 3, Crit Eye 2, Normal Wrap It Up is just something we can't get rid of, so ignore that. Stun Res 2, that is my sort of go-to level 1 slot to just charm in when I have extra level 1s. You could replace that with anything. I mean, you could do Wind Res, you could do Bombardier, just whatever you want to do, it doesn't matter. Of course, TO Blessing 2, so we can get that extra damage, status build-up, excuse me, not damage, and then Attack Boost 1, Crit Boost 1, Constitution 1, and Flinch Free 1. So, we of course are using the Teostra Sword and Shield. This would technically work for the Mag Sword and Shield as well, or any other blast weapon, but I think it works best for Teostra just because it has that ramp-up skill. So as you can see with Handicraft 4, we just get barely enough points to get to white, and that's important because we're using this one with Protective Polish. I will talk about a razor sharp version of this build in just a moment. But you can see we have Kushala Headpiece. This is where I'm getting my Flinch Free and 2 points of Handicraft, and then that's where the 2 Wrap It Up, Normal Wrap It Up is. The Jelly Vest, this is Blast Attack 2 with level 2, level 1. So I put Speed Sharpening and then my last Blast Attack in here. And then we had the TO Kaiser Arms with a level of Protective Polish. The Kaiser Coil with another level of Protective Polish. Then the Damascus Greaves to get handy 4. Put a level of Stun Res in there. And then this is probably the hardest part, the Charm. All you really need is a Charm with 2 level 2 slots and a level 1. Not the easiest thing to come by, but it is sort of what the build requires. If you don't have a level 1, you could drop flinch free to get speed sharpening 3. I think speed sharpening 3 is pretty required for using protective polish just because it helps so much. You could drop the 2, but I personally found the extra cycle of sharpening to be very annoying. Maybe that's just the lazy gamer in me, but I really, really swear by protective speed sharpening 3, excuse me. Now, I also got really lucky with this charm having speed sharpening 2 in it already, but as long as you have the slots, you'll be fine with getting speed sharpening 3, even if your charm doesn't have it. So this is where we're getting our last point of protective polish. The Constitution is just on the charm. Another point of stun res, and then I put a point of attack in here. I did actually have handy 5 in this build originally with protective polish 3, just to have a bit more leeway with the when the protective polish goes away. But I found myself just sharpening once I got to I dropped to blue anyways, and I was like, yeah, this doesn't really, like, it's not really giving me anything more than I need, so I'll just get a point of attack in here. But that is an option if you would like. Now, if you wanted to do the same exact build, but with Razor Sharp, that is completely possible. What you would do is you would still only just need a charm with 2 level 2 slots, and you could get Razor Sharp 2 in here, and then put your last point of Razor Sharp in the arms. Everything else stays the same, except you would need to put a point of Handicraft in this waist. You definitely need Handicraft 5, because that way you have, mathematically speaking, 40 hits of white. Obviously, it depends on if you get that many procs, but you have roughly 40 hits of white that way. If you have Handy 4, you'll only have about 20, mathematically speaking. So I personally prefer the protective polish route. They both do basically the same damage. It really just depends on if you if you don't mind keeping protective polish up. I've used it a lot in past games, so I don't mind keeping the buff up, and they've made it better. It lasts for 90 seconds now instead of 45 at level 3. So it's really just up to you. Also, I just really like staying in white for as long as I can, and protective polish allows me to do that, whereas Razor Sharp, not quite as much, just because of how little white the TO Sword and Shield unfortunately has at this moment. Now, another thing you could do is you could put Handy in this waist right here, and then drop the legs for, say, the Hunter's Greaves or even the Ingot Greaves, and get some more attack in there, and then do Razor Sharp 3, or even protective polish if you want it. But I would do Razor Sharp in that sense, because you would have a lot of blue with Handy 3, and then you could do that. Again, technically speaking, depending on how much attack, you will be doing less than if you were in white, but the difference is so small, and most of your damage is coming from blast anyways, that, like, who cares? So really just a couple options there for you. It really just depends on what you prefer. Here's the overall breakdown for those of you who want to see it. But yeah, so that's the TO Sword and Shield build. Now, moving on to the Poison build. This build features the Raytheon Sword and Shield because it's the best Poison Sword and Shield in the game, although the Puke does technically do more Poison build-up, so pick whichever you want. Heck, if you want to use the Great Roggy because you're feeling frisky, I respect it. I only have one version of this build just because it requires a bit more armor pieces to get going. But again, you can use as much or as little handicraft and other things like that as you want, and swap out skills for whatever you like the most. Just really depends on what your playstyle leans towards. The two important things to know about this build are that the Chameleos Blessing increases your poison duration by 100%, and the other important thing is that when something is poisoned in this game, and this is not how it has worked in any Monster Hunter game before this, as far as I know, when you poison a monster in this game, normally speaking, you can't build up the status again until that poison is gone. However, in Rise, your poison buildup still counts. So that combined with the Chameleos Blessing means monsters will be almost permanently poisoned, which is actually super fun and kind of insane. It makes poison much, much closer to the other statuses because it's always been a bit on the weaker side. So if you would normally do 25 ticks of poison, then with the Chameleos Blessing, you'll now be doing 50 ticks of poison, which at 14 damage a tick, I believe it's about an extra 260 or maybe 360 damage. It's a sizable chunk, nothing to scoff at. Now, of course, normally this would actually be a DPS loss by increasing your poison duration because you can't build it up. But because of the way poison works in this game, it is just, I think, the best way and the strongest way to use poison as a status in this game now. All right, so here we are again back in the game. Let me show you the build. We are at 248 raw, 44 poison. Again, this would go up to 47 with the Dango Specialist and 10% affinity because of the Raytheon Sword and Shield. Again, using Drill Slash. And here are the skills. So we have Handy 5 this time, Poison Attack 3, Speed Sharpening 3, Chameleon's Blessing 3, because that's when you get the Poison proc. Peak Performance 2, I think that's just from the armor. I personally don't like Peak, but it's a fun skill for those of you who like it. Normal Rapid Up 2 again. You can probably guess what headpiece is giving us that. Attack Boost 1, Mind's Eye 1, Ballistics 1, Evade Window 1, Stun Res 1, and Flinch Free 1. So here are the items. You can see the Queen Rapier. Pretty sizable chunk of white. And 33 poison with 220 raw. Honestly, phenomenal weapon. Really, really good weapon in this game. But again, if you wanted to use the Puke or even the Great Ragi, you absolutely can. So feel free. Kushala Head once again, because I love Handicraft. It's my favorite skill. So we got Handy 2 and then Flinch Free gemmed in there. And then we have the Mitsuwa. I believe that's how you say it. Mitsuwa? I don't know. I'm going to call it the Chameleos guards. So we have 1 point of poison attack, Mind's Eye, 1 point of the blessing, and then a level of speed sharpening in here. Then we have the Chameleos sleeves for another point of the blessing, poison attack, evade window, speed sharpening, and then the waist. This is where we're getting that 2 points of peak, another level of speed sharpening in there, poison attack already built in, and Chameleos blessing. So it's actually pretty nice that these 3 pieces, not that poison attack's hard to gem in, but you know, it does save us some level 3 or level 1 slots to get in, say, speed sharpening, stun res, bombardier, whatever you like. Then the Damascus Greaves. This is for 2 more points of handy and stun res. And then the charm, you will need something that has a level 3 charm to get to handy 5. And then I just was lucky and had an attack boost 1 in there, so I got some attack in here. Again, this could be anything you want. If you have the god tier Wex charm like I do, you could use that. If you have a Slugger 2 with the level 3 or a Wirebug Whisperer, like whatever you want to do, whatever works, you could do that. Of course, if you don't care about getting to white, you could, say, get to handy 3 with this and max out your blue, drop these legs for, say, you know, again, the Hunters or Ingot legs, get some more attack, or even, say, the Almudron legs and get some Razor Sharp in there, maybe a level of Protective Polish, who knows. If you're going to go 1 level of Razor Sharp or Protective Polish, I think Protective Polish is better, but so that's the build. Again, not as many variations with this one just because the Chameleos, the 3-piece Chameleos is a bit harder to sort of work around with in terms of getting different armor pieces on there than the Teostra, because it's only a 2-piece to get that bonus. But here's the overall breakdown for you once again. And this build's a ton of fun. I typically don't really enjoy using status. Or using status, excuse me. I do enjoy using status. But poison has always been my least favorite status in the games. But in this game, it's honestly really, really fun with this. Just getting that extra long duration from the Chameleos blessing and then basically just poisoning them immediately again. If you use this set against Kushala, you're gonna feel like you're unstoppable. Kushala is actually so easy with this set because you have wind pressure negated and then you also take it away with your poison anyway. And Kushala is just like poison the whole hunt. It's actually crazy. Really, really fun build, and I love what they did with poison in this game. I think it's great. And that's going to be it for this video. Thank you all so much for sticking to the end. I really hope you enjoy trying out these sets. Hopefully they aren't too hard for you to make them. They're a ton of fun. I think they sort of shed a new light on these 2 statuses, and I just, yeah, they're just great. For someone who like main status Sword and Shield, I've been having a blast. I'm sure there are ways to make these builds better or optimize them in a certain way, so if you do find out how to do that or you come up with a new version of it, please let me know in the comment section below. I would love to hear back from you. These builds probably translate very well to other weapons that aren't just Sword and Shield, but are also Poison/Blast, so it might be a little bit harder to make certain things work. You know, if you want to get, say, like a Power Plunger thing going on with Insect Glaive or Switch Axe, might be a bit harder, but you should be able to translate these, roughly speaking, to any other weapon. With that, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Happy hunting, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.